Hey folks, today is September the 6th, 2024, and so today we're pretty much going to pick up on everything that we've been working on for the last couple episodes. So this is what we last left off on. All right, so today what we want to do is we want to set the chart, or not set the chart, but we're going to set the script so that it only activates on certain charts, so the intraday charts. And then also we want to extend these trend lines out so they only extend a certain number of bars, and no further. Okay, so one of the things that I want to tell you, okay, so we can go ahead and extend right on here, but they go way to the end of the screen. It took me probably about 8 hours, 9 hours over the course of the last day or so figuring all this out. I will tell you one big tip. When it might seem intuitive, but maybe not so much, when you create a trend line using DO points, using your object points, you need to use the same type of point, BN point and BN point, or a DT point, date time point, or bar number point. They got to be the same. So where I messed up was I'm using bar number points here, and then when I went up and I created a method, I used a date time point. Well, when you use a date time point, because they're different, if you were to try to code that right now, it would give you an overloaded method error. It would give you an overloaded error. But when you code it up here later to reset the endpoint, it doesn't give you an error. But the script doesn't work at all. So it took me a lot of debugging, a lot of print logging to figure out that when I have bar number points created from the trend lines, and then I try to extend the endpoint using the set endpoint, using a date time point, using a print statement, you can see that the bar number points are fine before you go into the method, but after you go into the method and you change the endpoint, now all of a sudden that same bar number point that you didn't even touch, the beginning bar number point that you didn't touch, you change the endpoint, and once you changed it, this beginning point also, it got screwed up. So it's very important that you do keep the same type points. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the things, like I said, this is pretty much the same script that we had before. One of the things that we did have, I think I just erased it for whatever reason, but we did a trend line of 1 dot extend right equals true. And this is what you guys probably saw before. I think this is the way we had it set up. And then once this breaks through, this turns green. All right, so what we want to do is, this is on the 1 minute time frame, a 1 minute chart. All right, so when you use your Bartype, you've got your daily, monthly, and weekly charts, or daily, weekly, and monthly charts, which are of Bartype 3, 4, and 5. So this count span is keeping control of our low and our lower low, or our higher low. So if we mess this up, then we can stop the whole chart from plotting a trend line. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this, and since this is counting 1+ on every bar, we're just going to say if bar type, it's got to be any numbers other than 3 through 5, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're going to use the between function. This is a function that I created. All right, so the price is going to be bar type, and it's got to be between 3. I'm not sure if I did. I think 2 through 6, because I'm not sure if I use greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. All right, let's see what the well, I don't even have that. All right, let's see. Bar type 2 through 6. Tell you what, let's just look it up. Well, I know what those are. Okay. Then we're going to go to the daily chart. Okay, so that's right. All right, so now, again, you see that we're not drawing the trend line if we're on a daily, weekly, or monthly chart, right? Because the bar type is of type daily is 2, right? So we don't want it to be, 2. We don't want it to be 2, 3, or 4. don't want it to be 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so as long as we're not between 2, 3, or 4, okay, then we're good to go. So put it back on the 1-minute chart, or we could do the 15-second chart. But either way, since we are of a bar type other than 2 through 4, we're good to go. Okay. All right. So now that we got that cleared out, that's easy. All right. So now the next thing that we want to do is we want to limit how far these extensions go, right? So we don't want them to be as far as they are. So we're going to turn off extend right. And now we need to have an input that says like length of line. And we'll say 25 bars. Okay, so length of line. All right, so now one of the things that you have to do, and like I said, a lot of this I just kind of learned throughout the course of figuring it out, so I'll save you the trouble of me showing you the errors. You're here for the good stuff. But so one of the things that we want to do is we want to take a tag of the trend line. We want to take a tag and assign the last bar number to the trend line, because again, we want to, from the last point out 25 bars. That's all we want. So we need to hold this data here, that last point. So it's going to be trend line 1.tag, and tag, we can store anything. We can store integers, booleans, method, we can store whatever. All right, so we're just going to store the bar number, which will be bar number plus max bars back minus 1. So we're going to store that to the tag. And now we're going to come up and we're going to have a new method. Okay, now on every bar, essentially, we're going to check to make sure that we are extending our trend lines as we need to. So if trend line is not null, then extend right. That's our method, but we have to create it. Method void extend right. Begin. You see I left a little bit of space for our variables here. The variables are going to be at least an index so that we can move through the loop of the drawing object. So int IDX. Okay. Not only that, but we also need a trend line to store it through. I believe I did that. So let's do a trend line, and we're going to call this _2. And this is a local. These are local variables, right? Because they're within the method. Okay, so they won't be seen anywhere else. All right, so what we're going to do now is we'll loop through our vector of drawing objects. Okay, so for IDX equals 0 to drawing objects, that vector. Go back to the other videos if you're not sure what I'm talking about. At IDX we're just doing count. Begin, end. Okay, so this is the loop, and this is what we're going to carry out. So what are we going to carry out? We're going to hold in a container. We're going to hold whatever drawing object is here. We're going to hold that. And we're going to hold it in trendline 2. Okay, so trendline 2 is equal to what? Drawing objects at vector 3 dot at what index as type. When you bring it out of a vector, you got to have as type trendline. All right, so now that you have the trend line stored in here, now you can take the trend line and you can look at the parameters of the trend line. So we know that we need to extend the endpoint, right? So trend line _2 dot, we're going to set the endpoint, and what are we going to set it at? This is key. It's already a bar number point because it was stored as a bar number point. Came up here, is still a bar number point out of drawing objects. So we want to use a bar number point. The endpoint dot create. What do we need? We need a bar number and a price. So what bar number we're going to use? We're going to extend it to the current bar that we're at. So bar number plus max bars back minus 1. So that's the bar number. And then the price is what price do we want to set it at? Okay, we need to keep this trend line moving in this fashion. Well, how do you find what the value is if this trend line was to extend? Easy. EasyLanguage has a function for that, which it would be you would take the trendline object, trendline score 2 dot endpoint. Excuse me, not dot endpoint. You're going to do the dot value. We're going to set the endpoint dot value. Well, we already set the endpoint. So trendline dot get value. And now, where are you going to get the value from? What date, time, what bar number? Well, whatever bar number we're currently on, we want to use that bar number. We want it to set the price at that bar number. So we're just going to put bar number plus max bars back minus 1. All right, close that one, close that one, close that one, hit that. All right, let's see. Count minus 1. Sorry. Okay. So look at that. Look at that. Already got them extended out. Man, I'm telling you, I did not go to sleep until 1 o'clock last night trying to figure this out. I started off at about 9 o'clock. I didn't go to sleep till about 1. Got up, got my daughter off at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Came back, worked on it some more. So, I mean, I love this program and stuff. All right, but we don't want to go out this far, right? This went too far. This is going to our current bar. We don't want to go to the current bar, so we want to respect the length of line. We only want to go that far. So instead of setting the endpoint every single time, we only want to set the endpoint if we're longer than that length of line. How do we find the difference of where we're updating to versus where we were? Where we were, that bar number is stored in the tag. Remember that? So if the current place we're at, so the if bar number plus max bars back minus 1, that's where you currently are, minus whatever's in the tag, trendline of 2 dot tag. If that's less than what we're defining here, our length of line, then we're going to extend, right? So let's see here. Oh, I think when we brought it out of tag, we need to as type integer. Okay, there you go. All right, so man, I'm so proud of this. Like I said, it took me hours and hours, and it's fairly simple. Okay, so now these from the last point after the trend line was created, it should only be about 25 bars, 25 bars, 25 bars, 25 bars. Okay, and if you want to change that, again, here from Edit Studies, you can just go here, double click that, and then go to 15. And you see it makes them shorter. Okay. All right, so now what we want to do is, I think that was the main thing. Let me see. I think there was something else I want. Hope you got something out of this one. Like I said, try to keep them anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes these days. By all means, like, subscribe, share with a friend, share with a loved one. Let's become an expert in something so we can anyway, I'm striving to become an expert here so that I can use this as a tool to smash the market. Anyway, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.